What do you do when a leader refuses to hear the truth? When speaking up feels risky and staying silent feels much safer? In today's episode, we'll explore how a coaching-based leadership approach can change that dynamic. This is The Safety Edge. Welcome back to the Safety Edge podcast, where safety leaders sharpen their edge. I'm Charles Edgar, your safety leadership coach. In this podcast, we explore the real dilemmas safety leaders face on site and in the workplace. Not textbook examples, not perfect scenarios, but the challenging, uncomfortable human moments when there's no obvious right answer and the pressure is real. Season 2 continues with a focus on voice, silence, and psychological safety. Today, we are unpacking a dilemma many of you will relate to: when a leader refuses to hear bad news. Picture this: you are a newly posted safety leader at a facility with a history of suppressed reports. A near miss has just occurred, minor, but it could have escalated. As you dig deeper, you discover this isn't the first time safety concerns have been downplayed. The manager, he's notorious, intimidating, politically favored, and resistant to hearing bad news. History shows he's clashed with the previous safety lead, who is no longer in the facility. And rumor has it that the manager had probably influenced his removal. As a result, the staff had learned to stay silent, hide incidents, and avoid any type of conflict with him. And now you face a dilemma. Do you speak the truth and risk clashing with a confrontational manager, or do you maintain status quo, potentially compromising your ethics and the team's safety culture? And if you speak up, what will you say? How will he react? And if he reacts badly, how will you handle it? Or will you just walk away? Now you are in a dilemma. Now let's unpack the dilemma. The manager is intimidating, everyone avoids him. Staff have learned that raising concerns lead to pushback, being ignored, or could even attract negative consequences. As you navigate the facility, you notice hesitation, avoidance, and silent calculations happening all around you. You are now faced with a challenge. How do you maintain your ethical boundaries, preserve relationships, and start rebuilding trust and voice in a culture long conditioned to silence? This isn't just a single near-miss event, it's about an enduring pattern, a reinforced culture of silence and human behavior under pressure. Why is this a true leadership dilemma? This is a true leadership dilemma because the choices aren't simple. There's no checklist that tells you the right move, no rule book that ensures everyone comes out unscathed. You see, at this moment, every action carries weight. If you speak up, you risk clashing with a powerful confrontational manager, someone who has a history of pushing out previous safety leads. If you stay silent, you preserve your personal safety, maybe even maintain relationship with the manager, but the truth remains hidden. The team's voice is stifled, learning is blocked, and the culture, the foundation of safety, erodes. Every time a leader hesitates, another warning goes unspoken. People calculate risk, weighing the consequences of speaking up versus staying silent. They ask themselves, will I be blamed? Will I slow things down? Will I anger someone with influence? And for the safety lead, the pressure is doubled. You are caught between two realities: supporting the team and maintaining credibility with a manager who can make or break your ability to lead at this facility. Speak and you challenge authority, risk conflict, risk isolation. Stay quiet and you tacitly condone suppression and compromise the very culture you were brought in to protect. This is the paradox of leadership in high-stakes, human-centered environments. The dilemma isn't technical, It isn't procedural, it's ethical, relational, and cultural, all at the same time. And it's why psychological safety isn't just a buzzword. It's the lens through which you make these choices. It's the difference between a culture of silence and a culture of learning. This is why being a safety leader is never easy, and why every choice, every word spoken, every hesitation, every silence carries consequences. Now, what do most leaders do in situations like this? Most leaders will tend to read the room and adapt to it. They tell themselves, this isn't the right moment. Let's not rock the boat. I'm still new here. They soften the language. They minimize the concern. They reframe the near miss as handled, isolated, nothing systemic. They choose harmony over honesty. And when the manager pushes back or shuts down the conversation, they retreat. They document less, they probe less, and they move on. And without realizing it, they teach the organization something dangerous. They teach the people that silence is safer than speaking up, that truth is negotiable, and that career protection matters more than the learning. Over time, the metrics look good, the reports look clean, but the culture grows thinner, quieter, more fragile. And the real risk, they don't disappear. They just linger, waiting for the right time to manifest. Now let's talk about what great coaching-based leaders do differently. They feel the same pressure, they see the same power dynamics, they know the same career risk, but instead of reacting, they slow down. They confront first, they get curious, they frame the issue as a system challenge, not a personal failure. They ask questions that lower defenses instead of raising them. Make it safe for the manager to stay in the conversation without losing face. They explicitly separate learning from blame and visibility from punishment. And instead of shutting down voice, they reframe it. They position employee input as an early warning, as something that strengthens the manager's leadership, not threaten it. They help the manager see that a quiet team is not the same as safe operations. That voice is not noise, and that listening, especially when it's uncomfortable, is how strong leaders can stay ahead of risk. And this mindset, this approach, is what you carry into the conversation with the manager, not to accuse, not to expose, but to open a door that's been closed for a long time. Now let's see it through the coaching lens. You request a private conversation with the manager, just you and the manager. You step into his office, the door closes. You establish intent as you open the conversation. I wanted to talk to you about the near miss from yesterday, not to assign blame, but to understand what made it hard to surface. The manager responds dismissively.
It was minor. Nothing happened. We don't need to turn everything into an issue.
Now you establish alignment. I agree. Nothing happening is exactly what we want. My role is to help us keep it that way. The manager narrows his eyes.
You sound like the last safety lead. Do I need to worry about you causing trouble too?
Now you proceed to diffuse the subtle threat. I hear that concern, and I respect the results you've delivered here. My goal isn't to create problems, it's to make sure problems don't surprise you. And he responds,
Well, I don't want this to reflect badly on me. I've worked hard to get this facility where it is. And people exaggerate, they complain, and oftentimes they overreact.
And at this point, you reframe voice as advantage. Sometimes, yes. But when people stop speaking altogether, you lose access to what's really happening. You don't just lose problems, you also lose early warnings. And the manager responds,
So what are you suggesting?
Now you introduce co-ownership of the issue. I'm suggesting we shape how concerns come to you so they are useful, proportional, and actionable. And when the team sees you listening, even when the news isn't perfect, they bring you insight instead of surprises. At this point, the manager exhales and then he responds.
The last guy always made it feel like everything was my fault.
Now you offer validation without blame. That's not what this is all about. This is about protecting your leadership and protecting the team. And he responds.
There have been a few of these before. People didn't think I wanted to hear it.
This is the moment you restore truth and safety. Thank you for saying that. That honesty is where improvement starts. What will help you hear concerns without feeling like your credibility is under attack? Now the manager goes silent for a moment, thinking, and then he responds.
Maybe if they brought options, not just problems.
Now you focus on creating shared solution. Then let's design it that way, together. You set the standard, I'll support the system. And with this, the team learns. Speaking up protects the operations and protects you also. Now the room goes silent, but this time it's calm. Now let's pause here. Notice what just happened. This is what leadership sounds like when truth isn't forced, but invited. This is how silence is reversed, not by authority, but by trust. Because what just happened wasn't luck, it wasn't charisma, it wasn't compliance, it was coaching-based leadership in action. Now let's unpack the strategies so you can recognize them and use them effectively. Strategy 1, regulate the emotional temperature first. The safety lead never rushed to facts, never corrected the manager, never challenged the narrative head-on. Why? Because defensiveness blocks listening. The first move was emotional regulation, using a calm tone, natural language, clear intent. And when the manager pushed back, even with a subtle threat, the safety lead didn't react. He absorbed the pressure and lowered it, because once emotions settle, thinking can return. Strategy 2, align before you influence. Notice what wasn't said. There was no, "you are wrong," "you're hiding things," "this is unacceptable." Instead, alignment came first. Respect for results, recognition of effort, acknowledgement of pressure. This isn't flattery, it's strategic empathy. When people feel seen, they stop defending and start listening. Strategy 3, reframe voice as a leadership asset. This was a pivotal shift. The safety lead didn't frame reporting as compliance, he framed it as protection. Protection of the operations, protection of the manager's reputation. Voice became an advantage, not a threat. This is critical. People resist safety when it feels like exposure, and they engage when it feels like support. Strategy 4, move from blame to conditions. At no point did the safety lead ask who failed. Instead, the question became, what made this hard to raise? This is a classic coaching move. Shift the focus from people to conditions. Because when conditions improve, behavior follows. This protects dignity while still demanding accountability. Strategy 5, co-ownership, not compliance. Notice the turning point? The manager wasn't told what to do. He was invited to help design the solution. How would you want this raised? What would make this useful for you? That's not weakness, that's shared ownership. When leaders help shape the process, they protect it. Strategy 6, create personal safety for the leader. This one often gets missed. Psychological safety is not just for frontline workers. Leaders need it too. The safety lead made one thing clear. This conversation wouldn't damage the manager. It would protect him. Once that fear dropped, honesty surfaced. And that's when the real work began. Strategy 7, model the culture you want to create. The safety lead didn't talk about psychological safety. He demonstrated it. Calm under pressure, curious instead of critical, firm without being confrontational. That single conversation sent a message, not just to the manager, but to the entire system. This is how culture shifts, one interaction at a time. The lesson here is simple, but not easy. You don't change unsafe cultures by forcing truth. You change them by making truth safer than silence. And that is the real work of leadership. Before we close, let's crystallize the insights from today's episode. Silence is rarely accidental. Silence is not the absence of information. It is a response to conditions. When leaders react defensively, dismiss concerns, or punish bad news, people learn quickly when not to speak. What looks like calm may actually be fear. Incidents rarely come without warning. What disappears first is voice, then curiosity, then learning, and by the time an incident is visible, the system had already long gone quiet. Confrontational leaders may appear decisive, but intimidation doesn't create discipline. It creates information gaps. When people avoid a leader, that leader loses access to reality. And leadership without reality is just authority guessing and moping in the dark. We often talk about frontline voice, but leaders need safety too. When leaders fear personal consequences, they filter truth just like everyone else. Creating safety for leaders is not indulgence, it's risk control. Coaching-based leadership is not passive, it's precise. It lowers emotional temperature, keeps dignity intact, and surfaces truth without escalation. That's not soft leadership, it's sustainable leadership. When teams speak up, leaders gain early insight. They reduce surprises. They make better decisions. They protect results. Silencing voice doesn't protect performance. It delays reality. Posters don't create safety. Policies don't create safety. What creates safety is how leaders respond when the news is uncomfortable, especially behind closed doors. Finally, every safety leader will face this moment, a choice between truth and comfort, between speaking and staying silent. The question isn't whether the dilemma will come, because for sure it will. The question is, when it does, what will your response teach the system? Because the fact remains, whatever you make safer, truth or silence, will be repeated, and the consequences, good or bad, will eventually reveal themselves. That is the edge. As you reflect on today's episode, consider this. Where might leadership reactions be unintentionally making silence feel safer than speaking up? How could a coaching approach help you invite truth without triggering defensiveness? What small step can you take today to open space for honest dialogue? If you had one key insight from this episode, share it in the comments. Your reflection may help another leader re-establish voice where it has been long suppressed. While here, make sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to invite a friend or colleague to listen along with you. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Safety Edge podcast. I'm Charles Edgar, your safety leadership coach. And until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and keep sharpening your edge. Bye for now.
Brought to you by the Safety Edge platform, an independent leadership and safety learning platform, building leadership capacity, one conversation at a time. Find us wherever you get your podcasts